Welcome back to another video. The World Cup is literally days away. And today, I thought I'd bring you the top differential picks in fantasy rugby. We all know it's going to be good to select highly selected players, like on screen, Capuzzo, Dupont, Savea, but who are those gems that no one else is picking? And how can we move up the leaderboard without any of our opponents doing so? If you play fantasy regularly, not even just Six Nations or rugby fantasy, then you'll know the differential picks are crucial to gaining up the leaderboard and essentially winning your mini leagues, which I guess is what we all want to do. If you like today's video, then drop it a like and leave a comment below. Also subscribe to the channel. As I always say, there's going to be videos all throughout the World Cup. If you love fantasy and love rugby, then why not subscribe? And of course, let me know if I've missed anyone glaringly obvious in this video down in the comments. To kick us off in the front row, I've gone with George Turner. He's only been selected by 0.8% of players in fantasy, and compared to like a Julio Montoya or Malcolm Marks, the gap in percentage here is just crazy. Scotland obviously have a very tough first round in South Africa, but their next two fixtures is against Tonga and Romania. So I'll definitely be looking at George Turner for those two, and if he's still a differential by then it's a no-brainer. Scotland are playing absolutely brilliant rugby at the moment, and George Turner is a pretty decent carrier for them as well. In the second row, I've gone with Dafydd Jenkins from Wales. There's obviously going to be picks like Etzebeth, who are probably going to be in lots of people's teams for the majority of the tournament, just because he performs week in, week out. But if you want to pair Etzebeth with anyone in the second row, Dafydd Jenkins is a pretty decent pick. He's not nailed on to start because Wales have Adam Beard and Will Rowlands, but if we remember Gatland when he first came into Wales, he picked Jamie Roberts, Sam Warburton as young outside picks that really shone well for the next decade, and that's kind of how it feels with Dafydd Jenkins. So keep an eye out for the team sheet. Wales have really good fixtures as well against Portugal and Australia. To be honest, they've probably got a really nice lead up in the group stages, so keep an eye out for Dafydd Jenkins. On the back row, I've gone with Fritz Lee. Now we all know the back row has a plethora of people to pick. Even though Samoa aren't playing in the first round, I still believe he's going to be a pretty big differential pick. Obviously switching allegiances to Samoa, Fritz Lee is an absolute force. He's played over 250 games for Claremont and absolutely teared it up in the European scene. If Samoa, like Tonga and the other South Sea Island teams, are to actually kick on and do well and cause a real upset, then it's going to be players like Fritz Lee who are going to drag them essentially to victory. At scrum half, I've gone with Fusco from Italy. With Italy bringing 4 scrum halves to the World Cup, I believe they've got something pretty special up their sleeve. Like Dafydd Jenkins, Fusco may not start every game, but if he does, he's electric and will get good points following players like Capuzzo, Monty Ioane on that inside ball and potentially scoring plenty of tries. Italy's fixtures are also really good. You've got Namibia and Uruguay, so be sure to target in those games. At fly half, I've gone with George Ford. Now, we all know what's going on with England at the moment. Owen Farrell is banned, and for the first game, it's more than likely going to be George Ford to get that 10 shirt. Now, Argentina is probably going to be their toughest game, definitely of the groups, if not the whole World Cup, if they make it out the groups. So, George Ford is a little bit of an outsider pick, and still picked by less than 1% of players. However, if England are going to be firing and kicking goals, like we see With the points system, then George Ford is going to be crucial to that, with assists, conversions and penalties. In the centres, I've gone with Welsh Nick Tompkins. Still picked by less than 1% of players, Nick Tompkins is actually pretty solid for Wales in that team. He's probably one of the most experienced players in that Welsh backline, and to be honest, I don't really see them picking anyone else in the centres, especially at 12. With their opening games against Fiji and Portugal, they've got a really good start to the group stage, and to be honest, should be top in their group against a pretty shaky Australia team. So if you're looking for solidarity and you know who's going to have an 8 out of 10 each game, then it's got to be Nick Tompkins. Now, with the outside backs, I've actually picked two, and the first one is Max Maylands. Having only been picked by 0.4% of people, I think this is a pretty big steal. We all know Argentina is going to be a really tough game, but then they've got Japan and Chile. So, honestly, pretty easy fixtures as World Cups go. And we also know Anthony Watson is injured, so the winger position is definitely up for grabs. And to be honest, I think it's Max Maylands for the taking. He just offers something a lot different to any of the back three for England, and I think Steve Borthwick likes the way he plays. So if England are to come firing at this World Cup, Max Maylands might be a shoo-in. And finally, to probably save the best till last, is Gabriel Villier. He's picked by only 0.9% of people. Obviously we know they have New Zealand up first game, but if we remember back to the Six Nations a few years ago, he scored a hat-trick in the opening game of that Six Nations. So he's definitely a big stage player. Coming from sevens, he knows how to perform. France have to be up there with the top contenders to win the World Cup, especially at their home tournament. So why wouldn't you pick one of their top performing backs, if not players, in the lead up to the World Cup? We all know he's had his injuries, but Villier is a star on his day. And to be honest, I feel a shock coming on in that first game against New Zealand. So that's my top differentials for Fantasy Rugby. If I have missed anyone glaringly obvious, then obviously put them down in the comments. But I feel like I've done a pretty good job on this one. If you enjoyed today's video, then please leave it a like and subscribe to the channel. We're building a really good community, and happy to say that we've reached 2,000 subscribers, so I'm absolutely buzzing about that, but it's all down to you guys, so thanks for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.